Hello and welcome! My name is Jessica Gem, and in today's video, I'm showing you the process of a piece I made last year for my birthday. I'll tell you why I'm sharing an older art piece later, but for now, let's fly into it. So, I typically like to do a birthday art for myself because if I can, why shouldn't I? And this time around, I decided to do art of myself. As you can already tell with my concepts, I really wanted to give myself wings and be flying/gliding. I decided to go with this pose because it felt the most dynamic. Now for this piece, I had a very distinct style in mind that I wanted to go for, and it's that anime, pretty eyes, dynamic, almost visual novel/poster style, because the characters can look just so cute and pretty in it, so I tried my best to combine that with a touch of my own style. With the sketch, I really tried to keep the flow that I had in my rough posing idea, including the foreshortening, trying to keep that energy and fluidity of someone that knows what they're doing. Because obviously, even though I'm not that coordinated or elegant, I would be great at flying, right? I also tried to keep a bit closer to my real-life proportions, since I'm obviously thicker than those anime styles, and I went with a fantasy-style corset and flowy shirt with peasant pants and boots for the outfit because I just love them. Also yes, I did give myself elf ears. I do that. I wanted to really take my time with this one and get the idea down how I wanted it. So I did several layers of loose sketching and then got into the final refined sketch. For this, I continued using that solid pen, but still kept it a bit loose, not doing perfect lines or being too precious because I knew I still had the final lines to clean that up with, adding details and shaping the clothes as I went along. I wasn't totally sure what I was doing with the wings because they'd be complicated, and I didn't quite know how I wanted them to look, but I figured that I'd likely render them differently in a later stage. I followed my sketch quite closely, with the main difference being adding even more detail to things like the laces, where I had just indicated them before. I actually ended up pulling the eyes right from my sketch because I had done a really smooth job on those, so they were already very fitting for the final. I made some adjustments on a few places that I wasn't fully satisfied with, and then started doing a couple lighting scenario tests to see what I might want to use, eventually deciding on an underglow from a sunset. I thinned the lines in accordance to where they are from the light, thin near the brightest while leaving it thicker in the dark, just to add some additional daintiness down to the very lines. I add my base to work off of and color my lines, finishing up the rest of the base color in roughly the ones I'm going to use for the start, but then just using the colors I already have. I loosely add the wings with a bigger, softer, blendy brush, using reference to try and make sure the directions of my strokes would match the placement of feathers. I made a reminder of where the light would come from and start on the shadows using that same blendy brush, keeping in mind the saturation and colors these styles tend to use for their shadows. They typically have richer, pinker tones for the skin, more purple or blue tones for whites, and more reddish/purple tones for any brownish colors. This is to pull all of the shadows to the cooler end of color, leaving yellow, glowing warmth for the highlights. I don't push these tones quite as much as the styles tend to, because I have a bit of a tendency to pull back on different colored shadows, unfortunately. That's something I hope to work on as I continue developing my skills. I try to keep the brush strokes visible, as well as render each piece based on the material that it's supposed to be. So the skin is smooth, the leather is patchy, the hair is, well, hair, etc. Just to try and push myself a bit more to make something I'm really proud of. Is it a bit selfish to try this hard on a piece for myself more than for others? Maybe. Did I do it anyway? I sure did. Once I was finished with all the rendering, I moved on to the sky background, making that gentle sunset with some sparkly stars. I went in and colored the line art to give it a softer appearance, gently overlaid the sunset on her as well, and started my lighting. I did try to push these more like I was hoping, still not quite as far as I could have, and then work on the wings. I used textured brushes and layer styles to really get the look I wanted down, and then I made them glow. I added the glow to her as well, and did a bit more lighting work, including the brightest highlights on any metal and reflective surfaces like the eyes. I added a swirly pattern to the corset because it was looking a little plain, turned it gold, and the finished piece comes in for a landing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the process of this self-indulgent piece. As I mentioned earlier, this is a bit of an older piece. I decided that there were just a few of my older works that I had speed paints for that I do want to share. I feel like they show a good amount of what I can do, as well as what I've grown from. Honestly, this piece is still one of my favorites I've made, so don't expect them all to be like this. But I feel like it's important as an artist to share my full journey, not just the refined parts. I also kind of ran out of recent art because I haven't had much time to draw in the past couple months, but I'm hoping to change that very soon. But that's all for now, so farewell, and have a wonderful day.